Namaste. Heart to Heart, Volume 1 by Pujya Shri Chariji Maharaj. We have now come to the next talk, titled Past, Present and Future. The meaning of the concepts and get them into some sort of formulated order. Even to talk about such things, it's difficult. People can say, this fellow is crazy. How can you have a memory of the future? And perhaps it is. In that sense, you see that this high, very soulful music, you compose from out of the blue. How do you compose these things? I think it's bringing something out of the future into the present and playing it and writing it. So when memory becomes a reality, the future becomes a reality in the present. Do you find this sensible? Yes. Then you are crazy one like me. See how to bring the future into the present, like bringing the past into the present. You play a recorded music of Saigal sung some 40 years ago, and he is in the present singing Kahe Guman Kare. It is as if he is here singing for you. And if you have this ability to penetrate or sort of liberate yourself from the present and the past, you must expect experience, or you must exist in a future dimension, in a dimension of the future. And being in the present, it must be in the present too. So in a sense, it is a conjoining of the future and the present in one moment of time, which you call this instant, and that is a serialization. Samajh gaye? Do you understand? So that is the game we are playing here. Sitting, meditating, looking stupid and closing your eyes. How if the past can real in such a sense that it can create joy, anguish, sorrow, tears, laughter. Past can create all these things, bitter memories, sweet memories, isn't it? Sense of achievement. Oh, I was a millionaire yesterday, Chari. Today I lost it all in the racetracks. And he weeps. I don't see any reason why in my dimension, particular space dimensions or time dimensions, we shouldn't have the memory of the future, which means, are we really creating a future, or are we remembering a future into which we are again going? Like you come to Chesham once, you remember the road, even after 10 years, you remember the road. Maybe you take a false turn here, a false turn there, but eventually you will end up in Little Grove, isn't it? So this is the sense in which you have the cyclical concept of time. It goes round and round, and what is detour from this direction becomes the past from this direction. So if you reverse directions, our job is done. But that is a thing not possible with the mind. So we have to harness the powers of the mind, give them a direction first, like focusing a flashlight beam so that it will spotlight anything you want, and then using that power. Really, some of these things, Answer, not interesting. It can drive you crazy, some of things. I am sometimes nearly driven crazy, you see, because you go there so far and you are not able to go further. The mind it seems to have a barrier there, you see, beyond which you are not at this moment of time able to go. So self-development could possibly mean developing the mind's capacities to those limits where there are no limits. It can probe into the farthest reaches of time and space. They call them, visionaries for seers. Look, and he sees into the future, immense futures. Now, if you are able to look and see, it must be there in some way. Perhaps not as a realized thing, but as a potential thing. So in another sense, yoga is nothing but making the potential actual. Now the potential at this time must itself have a reality. You cannot conceive of the potentiality which doesn't exist at all in any sense. So anything the mind can conceive of must ipso facto be possible. Yes. The question is inaudible. Answer, oh, I am convinced of it. Another question, I am not sure. Answer, I am convinced of it, not just sure, otherwise progress wouldn't exist. We conceive of it first and then achieve it, anything. Of course, it may not be achievable today, but there was a time when flying was impossible, but there were brave men who thought about it, drew sketches about it, men with vulture's wings, men with heron's wings. Then they brought about contraptions, and today we have these giant jets. It came out of the minds of people who were called cranks in those days. The crank of the past, of the crank of the present, is the visionary of the future. Therefore, these visionaries always appear a little stupid and crude, and out of place, and perhaps out of their time too. So, in that sense, yesterday, I got a letter, from someone. He said, I believe the masters are really superhumans of the future, who by their graciousness, love for mankind, have come into the present to help us. Do you agree with this thought? I have always thought that myself, for a man to come into the present and give us a teaching which is going to be valid 2000 years later, he couldn't have thought of it in this human level, with this human mind, with this human brain, under the present human limitations. He must have come with the knowledge of the future into the present, so that he could teach us in the present the knowledge of the future. Understand? Therefore, how to say of such a man that he has a future? His future is already there. He has some backwards in time to help us. So, can he have a future in the present? Question is inaudible. Is this not coming from home and going back again? Answer. No, that is a different thing. Think of these things and little by little sometime you will get. So in that future, their futures lies in the future in which their present lies. I mean, it must look like juggling with words, but it's not. It's a very serious topic. That is, a person like my master, you see. He may have come from 5000 years ahead of time, ahead of us. His present is there. He is here in what is for him a non-present present, in that sense, and in this present. It is like my grandfather, in 1932 when I was there in this place and rice was selling at 16 shares to the rupee. He is in the present, you see. To say that he is thinking of the past or ruminating over the past is wrong. He is literally in the past. He is living in the past again. Only his body is here. So sometimes I have wondered whether when these master guys come to us, their really corporeal self is in the future, and what we see in only their thought forms, which manifest to us in something like the corporeal self that we have, and therefore they can SQV. That is, this is not flesh and blood. You see it as flesh and blood, but it is not so. All the great saints have said it. Babuji has said, every atom of my body is divinized. What does it mean? So their thought form, slips back into the time in which they want to be present, assumes a certain solidity to convince us that they are here, teaches us what they want to teach us, and slips back into their own present, which may be 5000 years in the future, 10,000 years in the future. And then perhaps there, when they come back into that self, they probably have a dream, or they think they had a dream that they were in the past, in which case was there, and John has come all over again after 15 years. And there is a fellow with a black shawl talking nonsense, could be. And perhaps when these are, solidified into sort of racial memories, you have what Jung called the collective unconscious. Because all those who are able to go back into the past see the same past in a fixed time of the past. So they have a past memory which must be same as everybody else's. I think I shall not eat more strawberries and cream. It seems to promote speculative thought. So these thought forms, precisely because they are thought forms, they don't suffer or enjoy. For them, this concept doesn't exist, you see. It is our time. Therefore, they can be crucified, burnt at the stake, and to convince us that they are still there, here in the corporeal self. They may pretend to enjoy or suffer, because we have to be in rapport with them, you know. So they behave like us, act like us, but then in their real self they must be highly amused. What is this nonsense, you see, striking a beat of nail through my... So their future lies in the future. Our future lies in the present, isn't it? Therefore, we have to work in the present. So the great masters have said, here and now. When should I start meditation? Now, not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow. Do you agree? 100%. Answer: 100%. So it's like that, you see. Thoughts of the past, the present and the future. And now, depending on this is another thought, you see, crazy. Suppose my one cycle is to be 250 million years and my mother died, I don't know, 50 years ago, 53 years ago, 53 years ago. Looking from this side, looking from that side, I can say she died 2,437,973 years in future, isn't it? Yes, you can say it. So what? So what? Now suppose this whole cycle of time is brought down from 250 million years to 25 million years to 2.5 million years to 250,000 years to 25,000 years to 2.5 years, and finally to a point, a dimension, which is a point is defined as dimensionless. It has no dimension. If this could be contracted to that point, then you have the definition of God, isn't it? So for such a personality, there is no past, there is no future, everything is now in the present. He looks like this way, he sees what you call the past. He looks this way, he sees the future. For him, there is nothing. So like from a point, everything radiates. The wheel has the central axle. It's a point. The spoke radiates and the circumference is the wheel. This rotates. This has a rotation which you perceive as rotation. But when there is no dimensions, how could it possibly rotate? So it can move without moving itself. Do you follow? This is the classic idea of God in Hindu philosophy. That without moving he moves, without giving he gives, without power, all power is generated from him. Without knowledge, all knowledge flows from him. From him comes the past, the present and the future. He is not subject to these things, but from him everything evolved. So you see, you bring this circle closer. In the beginning, we have a vast cycle, you know, millions of years going round and round, birth and rebirth like this. Slowly, you are able to contract it as a circle. You know, ultimately, you come to this, that's all. And then you bring it into a point where it collapses into itself. And then perhaps you have something like the, you know what to say, question, the infinite. It is infinity and it is nothing at the same time, because even infinity comes from it. So as somebody said, who was that poet who said, was it Blake? Might have been. Answer: might have been. He was a mystic. Answer: mystic. Yes. Well, it was a piece of mystic poetry. The experience eternity in a moment and moment in eternity. Something like that, you see. So there is no time too. No time, no space, no causation. Therefore, no future, no present, but everything comes out of it. When it comes out of it, it becomes subject to these dimensional limitations. You become subject to space, you become subject to time, subject to past, subject to the future. In architecture too, you know, I used to think in the old days that there should be some such concept. Instead of an expanding concept of architecture, something which sort of contracts into itself, you know, not in terms of space, but in the way in which it conceived. I used to like this Guggenheim Museum for that reason. It doesn't give you like this Gothic. Question: have you been there? No, I have seen pictures, slides. I have never been inside it. but that's enough. It gives you a feeling of something closing in on itself. Whereas these majestic spires and all this of the Gothics give you a sort of extrapolation in space and time, as if it is going on. So this gives you the concept of infinity closing in on itself, that of something expanding into infinity. See, two opposing sides of architectural presentation. I don't know if the architects would agree with it. It's what I feel. And now you find this in nature, the seed, in which life is totally enclosed in almost a point of space. Like rye, it has the tiniest possible seeds, and yet when it unfolds, we can have the giant redwoods, 3000 years in time, 280 lofty feet in space, a girth through which you can cut a tunnel through which two cars can go simultaneously. Californian redwoods. So this is potential, that is the kinetic form, you can say the expressed form. Question: out of my limit. Answer: limit. Question: I can't understand. Question: beyond limit. Answer: yes, but in the expression there is a limitation always, unless the seed is infinite. Now when the seed has only a finite potential enclosed in it, it expands to its limit, if nature permits, if circumstances permit. But if the seed is linked with infinity, divine, then it can unfold without limit. It can have a tree which embraces the universe, for instance. Using a mental image. Similarly, me, who are nothing, cosmically speaking, we are nothing human beings. They may pride themselves on their achievements, their technological advancement, their scientific grandeur, standards of living, stupid things, limited, you see. But if they could just link themselves with infinity. Now science tries to link itself with infinity outside us, probing into universe with greater and greater telescopes. It doesn't work because if the universe is expanding, as they say, you will never be able to make a telescope which will ever reach the limit of the universe into which it is expanding. Can you? But there is the other side of the helix, inside you in the heart. Now if you could link yourself there, then this miracle is achieved, that I am linked with the infinity in myself, which is nothing but the potential of the universe compressed into what you call a divine point in the heart. And from that I draw my sustenance, I draw the ability to express infinitely the potential that is lying inside, compressed in a timeless, spaceless dimension. And then you have this miracle, that the original primeval atom which exploded and became the universe as we see, which is supposed to be, 10 million light years ago, as they say today. Why can't become a universe like that? No longer can I say I, because the universe cannot be me, but it was yet me in another sense. In another sense, it was the point inside me which was divinity, which has expanded into that universe. Therefore we say each one carries a universe within himself. But when we limit that I and my body and the shaving and the beauty and you day sauvage and things like that, I limit myself. But when I am willing to forget this body, see, forgetting the body means breaking a limitation, not giving up, then comes this possibility that this expansion begins instantly. It is like a lamp. If all doors and windows are closed, light cannot shine outside. Open the doors and windows, it shines through them. Break down the walls, it shines anywhere. The light theoretically moves to the infinite, farthermost reaches of space, isn't it? If a single candlelight could do that, what about that which is enshrined in my heart as divinity itself? You understand? Question: yes. Answer: this is spirituality, you see. That's all we are trying to do. Break down the barriers of the heart first. Differences of love and hate, prejudices, religious and otherwise, limitations. He is mine, she is not hers. This is my relation, this is not. This is my brother, you see. All these limitations, when you are able to break this fish too, he makes his round expansion, and it never stops, because once the barrier is broken, it goes at its velocity. Now if you are a candle and its light is confined within the walls, you break down the walls, it travels at the velocity of the light to the farthest possible reaches of the universe. This has no velocity, it has infinite velocity. Therefore, when you transmit, it can be at the other end of the universe in the same moment of time. This is the miracle of the transmission. In the beginning, when Westerners used to come to Babuji, they used to say, "Babuji, can I sit at the same time as you are giving transmission here?" He says, "Haan hu." Then they used to calculate 7:30 here is 1 there in India, you see. So, "Babuji, what time do you transmit?" Oh, he said, "Sometimes 9, then 9 is 4:30 here in the summer and 3:30 in the winter," or whatever it is. How to get up at that time? So Babuji said, "Not like that. Whenever you sit, you get. You don't have to calculate backwards in time, you see. The now is the now. You can now and my now be different." So this is the miracle of the transmission, you see, that precisely because it is of divine, even to say it is divine origin is wrong. It is itself divine. So what happens? It has no limitation of space and time. Can it be anywhere at any time at any moment? Yes. Can it be now at the other end of the universe? Of course. What is the other end of the universe to something which has no space limitation? What is time to something which is not bound by time? So suppose you are sitting here and your sister in the future, who is to be born 20,000 years later, let us say, is at the other end of the universe in some other form. Can you both receive transmission from the master? Yes, at the same time. This time, we say at the same time. What does the phrase "at the same time" mean? It's ridiculous, you see. Again, it brings in the idea of differing times, coinciding to one point in time which we call the same time. It is like saying, when you are divinized and I am divinized, will we both recognize each other? Many people ask these questions, loving souls after liberation, they still want to meet and shake hands, probably kiss each other. And so, but Chari, after liberation, will we be able to meet in the other dimension? It doesn't exist, you see. It's like the spokes of the wheel which meet at the center point. They are meeting, but they have no separate existence. So the joy or the bliss or whatever of the future which we envisage in the present as a possibility cannot possibly be possible, for the reason that we have no separate identities now. We are all merged into one grand thing. So can Paramjit meet her husband there? But in that oneness is also a problem, you see, because unless you are separate, you cannot really enjoy each other's company. But in that oneness is also a problem, you see, because unless you are separate, you cannot really enjoy each other's company. There are great bhaktas of the Lord, devotees of the Lord, who have said, "Let me eternally remain your devotee, because unless I am as a devotee and you are as a God, I cannot enjoy my relationship with you as devotee." So when somebody was telling Babuji about a saint who has said this, Babuji said, "He is the biggest fool. Why be separate and enjoy the company of each other when you can be one eternally?" But yet, this human idea, that we can only be separate and enjoy each other's company, whereas if you should in some funny fashion become fused into one, that pleasure is lost or that enjoyment is lost. It is a very lasting idea, difficult to give up. Therefore, you have these funny books where they write, that the man died and he crossed the barrier and there he found his wife waiting for him with a bunch of flowers, peonies. It can't possibly true. So when all futures, all past, all time, all space meets in the point, who is who there, and what is what there, and which is which, and when is when? Is it possible to say? I think we have had enough of this too. Or shall we say semantic, good talk, foolish talk? Question: when these tapes will be available? Answer: sometime in the future, which can be in the present too. You have heard them. Question: yes, they are in the present. we would like to hear again. The tapes are in the future. Here we conclude this talk. In the next narration, we will commence with the talk titled He Is Mine. Thank you for listening.